everybody, and welcome to another ASMR video here on the channel. Today, we're back with, well, I've probably put conspiracy theories in the title because, it's good for the old keywords, but realistically, I think it's kind of like more feeds into our sort of myths and mythical beasts, creatures type, like umbrella term for these kind of videos, similar to like the Loch Ness Monster video, but regardless of that, today we're going to be taking a look at sirens and, well, sirens slash mermaids. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. There's still quite a few, mythical beasts, or creatures, I guess you would say, that we haven't covered, so feel free to comment any recommendations, as always, down below. How this video is going to be structured, we're going to give a bit of an introduction into what sirens are, apparently, and their sort of history. Then we're going to take a look at the most famous, I believe, sightings of sirens. Sightings, we should probably say in quotations. And then we're also going to have a quick little story at the end of an apparent sighting of a siren. So, in 3 sections to this video. So I will ramble no more. Let's get into investigating sirens. So, a siren in Greek mythology is a creature, half bird and half woman, who lured sailors to destruction by the sweetness of her song. According to Homer, there were 2 sirens on an island in the Western Sea between Ada, or as I say, Ae, and the rocks of Scylla. Later the number was usually increased to 3, and they were located on the west coast of Italy near Naples. They were variously said to be the daughters of the sea god Boreas or the river god Aeschylus by one of the muses. This article says half bird, but are they not half fish? Maybe that will get explained in a little bit. In Homer's Odyssey, book XII, terrible with Roman numerals, the Greek hero Odysseus, advised by the sorceress Circe, I really should have brushed up on my pronunciation of Greek figures, escaped the danger of their song by stopping the ears of his crew with wax so that they were deaf to the sirens. Odysseus himself wanted to hear their song but had himself tied to the mast so that he would not be able to steer the ship off its course. Apollonius wrote in Argonautica, Book 4, relates that when the Argonauts sailed that way, Orpheus sang so divinely that only one of the Argonauts heard the sirens' song. In Hyginus's Fabulae, number 141, a mortal's ability to resist them causes the sirens to unalive themselves. Ovid, Metamorphoses, Book 4, wrote that these sirens were human companions of Persephone. After she was carried off by Hades, they sought her everywhere and finally prayed for wings to fly across the sea. The gods granted their prayer. In some versions, Demeter turned them into birds to punish them for not guarding Persephone. In art, the sirens appeared first as birds with the heads of women, and later as women, sometimes winged, with bird legs. The sirens seem to have evolved from an ancient tale of the perils of early exploration, combined with an Asian image of a bird woman. Anthropologists explain the Asian image as a soul bird share its fate. In that respect, the Sirens had affinities with the Harpies. So I've just had a bit of a Google whether there is actually a difference between Sirens and mermaids, and essentially Sirens are like bad mermaids. So Sirens are sort of the dark and edgy sisters of mermaids. Sirens are considered to be evil creatures who live in the sea. Generally they're depicted as beautiful women with the tails of fish, but they can also be shown as scary humanoid creatures with sharp teeth for tearing apart humans. Sirens are known for luring in sailors with their enchanting songs and then killing them. I think, to be honest, we don't need to ponder too much on the background of sirens and mermaids. I think what we want to take a look at is these top 8 real mermaid sightings. If there's one thing that has fascinated mankind for centuries, it's the belief that mermaids could be real. From divers to explorers, people have claimed to have seen mermaids with their very own eyes. They supposedly appear as human beings, except for the lower portion of their body, which is a large fishtail. Could it be true? The origins of mermaids appear to have come thousands of years ago, but still ring true to the present day. Here are our top picks of mermaid sightings throughout history. Unlike the fakes and hoaxes that passed around, these sightings have something a little truer and different about their claims. Something about them makes it hard to deny the existence of mermaids. Okay, so we're going back for the first one, like way back. 2nd century Gaul. Mermaid corpses were found washed up on the beach. Governor of Gaul wrote a letter to Emperor Augustus about mermaids. Mermaid sightings weren't something that started recently. Quite the contrary, there have been claims that go as far back as the 2nd century AD. The Hellenized Syrian writer Lucian has mentioned the possible existence of mermaids in his Natural History 9.4.9.11. Pliny the Elder has mentioned and describes numerous sightings of mermaids off the coast of Gaul. Mermaid corpses were found to be frequently washed up on shore with their bodies covered all over in scales. He also comments that the governor of Gaul even wrote a letter to Emperor Augustus to inform him about these mythical creatures. Next up we move into the 18th century, Blackbeard's logbook. The pirate Blackbeard mentioned mermaids in his logbook. He avoided what is known for mermaid sightings. One of the most famous and feared pirates in history has mentioned the possibility of mermaids in his logbook. He had instructed his crew on several voyages to stay away from certain charted waters that he called enchanted, because of mermaids in these areas that Blackbeard and his crew members had reported seeing. 1493, sightings by Christopher Columbus. The famous explorer Columbus was said to have spotted 3 mermaids, or sirens, off the coast of Hispaniola in 1493. He had said that unlike folklore, these creatures weren't beautiful due to some masculine features on their faces. Historians debunk them as possible sightings of manatees, a common mistake to make, but nobody really knows what Columbus actually saw. Skipping forward a few hundred years to 1943, the Kai Islands. The local villagers in Kai Islands of Indonesia had a creature that they were familiar with. They called it the orang-ikan, translated as man-fish. During World War II The soldiers stationed in a 555 square mile area in the islands had multiple claims of encounters with these manfish, or as the modern world calls them, mermaids. The Japanese soldiers recorded not one but many different sightings, claiming they all saw the same thing, an amphibious creature that was mostly seen to be in the sea than on land. The marine creatures were 150 centimeters tall, having spikes on the spine, shoulders and neck. They were said to have light pink skin similar to salmon, and a mouth like a carp. Instead of a single tail, they had two frog-like fins and long arms. One such sighting happened when a troop of soldiers came to a natural lagoon after leisurely exploring the island. The lagoon seemed normal until they saw some thrashing in the water. Suddenly, an orangutan jumped out of the water and onto a rock. It turned, faced the soldiers and let out a weird gurgling noise. Another same creature was seen swimming in the water towards them. They didn't seem friendly, and not knowing the creature's intentions, the soldiers started shooting at them, but the creatures escaped and disappeared out of view. A sergeant named Mr. Darrow requested the villagers to inform him of any of the orangutan were captured dead or alive. The soldier summoned the general soon after, who saw these creatures with his own eyes as well. Mr. Darrow tried his best to get the scientific community involved after the war, but unfortunately, it didn't happen. Now we have 1967 Maine Island. In 1967, a ferry with tourists was astonished to spot a blonde mermaid on a beach. The people who saw this marine creature said that she seemed to be eating a raw salmon fish while enjoying the waves splashing upon her. A similar mermaid spotting incident was reported that same week, although a lot of people didn't believe it was real. Charles White from Undersea Gardens was desperate to prove her existence and offered a $25,000 reward for the mermaid's capture, even going as far as saying that he would offer a room for the mermaid with whatever she likes. But nobody was able to capture or find the mermaid, and as time passed, the story died. I apologise for my pronunciation yet again, but we move to 1998. Kauai, K-A-U-A-I. Someone couldn't spell out the phonetics in the comments, but apparently it reported 10 people spotted one. Jeff Leacher, a diver who is a videographer at the jack diving locker of, that word I can't say, claims that he not only saw, but came into brief contact with a mermaid. He was 20 minutes off the coast of Kauai when he saw what looked like a woman just 10 feet away, swimming with a pot of dolphins and keeping up with their fast pace, which Leica thought was obviously odd. She suddenly jumped into the air, revealing a fishtail. There were 10 people on the boat that said they saw the exact same thing. They were only able to see her jump twice before she disappeared into the water. Leica thought that was all, and he dived into the water to take some photographs of marine life, perhaps hoping he would get a capture of the mermaid too. An hour later, the same mermaid brushed against him while swimming away. Leica quickly snapped images and was able to capture her on one photo as she swam away from them. These images were submitted to 3 high-profile photography labs who analysed them and said the images were real and hadn't been tampered with. I'll put them on the screen now. You judge for yourselves. Real or not real. And is this the final sighting? No, we've got a couple left. So we now move to Kiryat Haim Beach in 2009. This huge incident had the media, the public and the government all involved to uncover the mysterious mermaid sighting on Kiryat in Israel. In 2009, some onlookers said there was a creature that resembled a young girl who would often be found on the beach doing tricks in the water. They kept seeing her for a number of days. It took a while for the news to spread and reach the general public and get the government involved. That was my stomach, by the way. Enjoy that lovely trigger. When the government did finally get involved, they issued a $1 million reward for anyone who could provide solid proof of the mermaid's existence. Capturing the mermaid was not necessary and just a photo would suffice. When the news was out, NBC got out to do some investigation of their own with a film crew at Kiryat. They filmed morning and night, above and below the waters, hoping to get some kind of footage of the mermaid. Then later one night, the crew claimed to have seen a human figure dipping into the water. The research crew did their best to follow the mermaid and capture it on camera, but it was to no avail. The mermaid disappeared and the crew was left without solid proof, except for some findings and shots by bystanders of the mermaid dipping into the sea. All the footage by both the crew and the bystanders were transferred to the Centre for Coastal Ocean Research in LA. Michael Shasht, the centre's director, examined the evidence and said that although it was impossible to clearly state that the figure in the footage is a mermaid, it still remained a high possibility. The $1 million reward still stands, and tourists and locals are still on the lookout. And now, the final one. We move to Zimbabwe Dam in 2012. So, in 2012, Zimbabwe Dam workers were trying to install a water pump for local agriculture. When the pumps were blocked, local workers and divers were hired to see what was blocking these pipes. After submerging to investigating these pipes and resurfacing, these local divers and workers swore they would never return to those waters again because they had seen a mermaid. But the government did not believe the workers and their claims of seeing a mermaid in the depths, so they hired divers and dam workers from outside. But these new people reported seeing the same thing and refused to go back in there to finish the repairs. It's not just the dam and its workers. The people of that land had no doubt about mermaids existing, and several have claimed they've seen proof, and even the mermaids themselves. Interesting. To finish this video off, here's a quick little story about an encounter with mermaids or sirens. True or not, I will let you decide. So, this was around a year ago, in July 2018. I was on a trip to Goa in India with some of my friends, and we were on this rented yacht in the Arabian Sea for the night. A lot of us were drunk, except for me. I'd stayed away from the bottles that day because of a bet with a friend. He bet me around $20 that I couldn't go 2 vacation days without drinking or smoking. Early on in the night, some of my more intoxicated friends decided to look out at the vast sea and yelled excitedly that they'd seen mermaids around us, which turned out to be dugongs, marine mammals commonly mistaken for mermaids. This was at around 11:30 at night, and I helped halfway through the packet of chips when I noticed these strange human-like figures coming up out of the water, and I, assuming they were actually mermaids seen by my drunk friends, decided to get a closer look. They formed what I think was a circle around the boat and drew closer. Now I could tell that they had long dark hair, it was a moonlit night, and that they had greyish-white faces. They did not rise very far above the water. I could only see their shoulders at most. I was still assuming they were somewhat ugly mermaids in poor lighting, and tried waving to them, at which they all stared in my direction. They began to emit what I now feel was the most ghastly wailing I'd ever heard. It was oddly mesmerising, and as I inched closer to the railing, I felt a strong urge to join them in the water, but I started to back away when I saw their eyes. They had no irises or any white, just plain black. Their mouths seemed to grow in size, and that was when my eyes convinced my ears not to give in. I dropped my chips and pulled away from the railing and fought my urges to jump over, and I ran inside, shutting the door behind me and falling to the ground. Everyone else was asleep, and the wailing just stopped abruptly. I was far too afraid to go outside at this point, so I decided to lose the bet and have a fairly good amount of Henny and rum, plus half a blunt that my friends had left. Nice. I passed out, and the next morning no one was missing, so that was good. No one believed me though, and we had to head back to the hotel in the afternoon. And there we have it. That was a little video about mermaids and, well, sirens. Sorry, that felt a little bit random, a bit sporadic. Usually I feel like these videos sort of flow nicely, but maybe it's just me, but it felt a little bit all over the place. But it's because I didn't have as much time to plan this video as I usually do, because I've just had a crazy week. But I wanted to get this video filmed regardless.